Hello everyone and welcome to Blackwood Engage Layout. So 2.5 years ago I started on this side of the layout that the picture is of, and I decided to completely rebuild it. The baseboard was moved further over to the wall and all of the existing layout was removed. So after 2.5 years of work, the scene that you see now has turned into this. So as you can see, this is a completely different scene from the previous photograph, which was the bare boards of the actual layout. And what you see in front of you is the culmination of 2.5 years work of relaying the tracks and coming up with scenery that looks believable enough. The last part of the jigsaw has been Blackwood Yard, and it's not 100% finished, it's close to it. So I'll take you onto the camera and I'll take you around and show you what I've done in the yard area. So this is Blackwood Yard. I have spent the best part of the last 2 months working on this. What you actually see here is not the initial iteration of the yard. I have made umpteen changes to try and get the yard to look like the picture that was in my head. So what I'm going to do is I'll take you around the yard and we'll just zoom in and I'll show you and explain what I've done to try and make the yard look real. So first of all, I have used up some redundant codated track that I had, and I stripped the rails out. I've painted them up rusty. They should be the equivalent of a 60-foot rail length. I've set them down on the red granite ballast that's throughout this yard, and that's a sort of scene that I've seen many a time, rails stacked up on at the side of some track. In addition to that, there's a couple of empty small cable drums. If we then come around here, we've got a couple of figures, wee cameo scene, and there is actually a yard light. Now that yard light used to be on the, if I zoom in a little bit, it used to be on the brewery complex, which was on the other side of the layout. Now when I came to build the helix lines, that was taken away, and that light was removed. It wasn't actually 100% working. There are two lights at the top of it, and one of them didn't light. It must have got damaged. However, I have managed to repair that, so that light now works. We then further come along, we've got some concrete piping. Now this concrete piping, I spent days and days and days trawling the internet looking for engaged detritus, just things that you see lying about. So these are from a company called CB Models, I think is their correct name. Excellent. They produce a lot of Engage 3D printed items. Now these, you could use these literally straight out the packet, and they come with wooden staging so that you can actually put the pipes on top of one another. If I zoom in, you can probably see wooden staging. So these, as I say, I did paint them with some concrete paint, and they look the part. From the same company, there are these concrete rings, and you'll also see the yellow bits. Those are those steps that go down inside. Now they don't come attached, they come as separate bits, and oh boy did I have fun trying to glue these into these pipes. But I think you'll agree that they do look the part. And again, they supply the wooden stakes so that the pipes don't sit directly on top of one another, and there are some top pieces there as well. If I just come back out a little bit, you'll also see that along the fence line, I've been back with the seafoam trees, or bushes, and I've put quite a lot along there because again that's what you very often see, it's all overgrown. And then if we come along further, there is a small small office. Again, that was recovered from the layout. Again, that's from the brewery complex that I had on the other side. So I thought it looked right when it's plonked in there. Then we've got a road rail digger. I brought that actually back from Austria. That came from the model shop in Innsbruck on the very last day before my wife and I got medically evacuated back home. You'll also probably be able to pick up that I've changed the buffer stops, and I have put the buffer stops back in with the red LEDs. So if I come back in, you can probably just pick out the red LEDs within the actual buffer stop. Carrying on, we've got a couple of Network Rail vans that I've pulled up at the entrance onto where you can get onto the track. We'll carry on down this side again. Sleepers. These are all individually cut Code 80 sleepers from redundant bits of track. There are over 400 of these that I have individually cut. If I come back in, hopefully you can pick these out. And I have glued and stacked them. That is many, many hours of work just to get that small number of sleepers there. I have got another probably a couple of hundred sleepers that need to be glued and then weathered up. So carrying on, what we have is there's a small oil tank at the back of the not mobile cabin, but it's one of these cabins that's set on jacks, and you can also see there is a portaloo at the side of it. Again, a couple of figures working there. I've also put some hard standing in along there, and then you will see again the orange barriers. That's from scale model scenery, and now I don't know what you call these. They're basically metal cages with sort of water tanks inside them. They come from Blackwood Yard, and you'll see they actually even have got the hazard signs on them. I don't quite know why water is a hazard, but you can see they've got hazard signs on them. If I come back out, obviously you can see I need to hoover up little bits of pieces there. There's also obviously a skip there full of rubbish, and along the back there, again I have completely covered that with seafoam trees. I'm actually quite pleased with these seafoam trees. They actually do, in some respects, provide a backdrop to this hillside. You can see there is a rough road coming in from the side of the baseboard, obviously up to where those vans are. And then if I come back in here, you'll probably see those sort of well, they are actually called jersey barriers. Again, that's from CB Models. If I then come back out, there are a couple of shipping containers. Now again, I've actually weathered these because they were, when I put them on and when I eventually got the right position to put these on, they kind of jarred because they were absolutely pristine, especially the green one. So I've actually weathered these to make them just look dirty. And they also have a second job. They, in actual fact, are the camera rest. So if I come out, if I'm filming, I can actually sit the camera on top of these two shipping containers. Coming along here, again, on the other side of the shipping containers, you'll see, again, some lengths of track stacked up. You'll also see some electrification masts. Now, the reason they are there is I dropped a couple of the electrification masts and then very accidentally stood on the end of them and broke them. So rather than throw them away in the bin, I've given them some aluminium paint and I've put them down there as though those are new spare electrification masts. Again, we've got some more cable drums. Again, that's from Bunter's Yard. And again, at the back of that, there is some more 60-foot lengths of rail. And there's also some more jersey barriers and some concrete sleepers, new concrete sleepers. So if I come back out, you can obviously see the scene. The red ballast, that is from Geoscenics. I didn't want to put the grey ballast that's on the main running lines. I wanted this to kind of stand out or shown to be separate. So the track itself, if I come in, it's got a lot of ballast on it. You can't really see you can see odd sleepers here and there, but you can see there's bits of greenery along the side of it. So it kind of gives that impression that it is used, but you know, it's not tip-top track. Now turning to this part of the yard that isn't yet 100% complete. On the last video update, I mentioned I was thinking there was going to be a road coming down from the road overbridge, and that prompted quite a lot of comments of people saying, don't think you need to have a road bridge there. The yard, part of the yard is off scene, so you could have access to the yard from some unknown area off scene, and that's how people would get to the signal box, which is obviously there. And I thought for a long time, I thought that's actually quite right. That's probably what could be done. And I didn't obviously start at this end of the yard. I started at the opposite end of the yard. And if I come back round here, I put that road in that you can see. And my original thought was for the road to run around the back to the signal box. And I did have it in, and then every time I came in, it just did not look right. It just looked wrong. And the other thing about all this yard here, I mean, you see all these bits and pieces that are placed there. I didn't come in and just place these down as you see them now. These have been dry placed in lots of different positions to see what they actually look like, to try and create the scene. So this is why it's taken me 2 months to do this, because in some cases, for example, those pipes at the back of the yard, they weren't originally there. They were to the front and they just didn't quite look right. The other thing is, I thought they're going to get knocked, so I then moved them to the back, and when I had them all painted up and sitting there, I thought they're now in the right position, so I can now glue them down. And that's been the way this whole yard has been developed. It's been a case of placing things, leaving them for a few days, thinking, does that look right? Is that going to cause problems? Am I going to knock stuff over? So it's taken me quite some time, obviously, to develop where everything's actually sitting in the yard. But to go back to this road access, it didn't look right, and obviously I took the road access away, and that meant was, well, how do they get into that signal box? And I then thought, well, we could have road access across the sidings, and that would work. The only problem is you are kind of limiting what you can put into the sidings, because in reality, if you had a long train that was sitting across the road access, well, that really I don't think would happen in reality. No doubt somebody will tell me it does, but in my head it didn't. So that meant that I had to come back to the sloping road connection from the bridge. Now, the one thing that I didn't want was, I didn't want a straight road coming right down. I didn't want the road to immediately go from the level bridge and slope right the way down to board level. And at the same time, I didn't know whether or not there was enough room. So I did have to do a mock-up. The mock-up is not straight. The mock-up has actually got a very gentle S bend on it. So hopefully, if I bring the camera around, you'll see that it is a very gentle S bend. When it comes off the bridge, the road is actually level, it's on the level, it doesn't actually start to slope down until probably round about here, and then it slopes down, obviously back down onto the small area just where the signal box is. At the same time, you will see that I've resurrected the old abandoned water tower. Again, that was in the motive power depot, but you never really saw it, so it's going to go in there. It makes obviously finishing this area here off pretty simple. It's just going to be again more of the red granite. There'll obviously be probably quite a lot of trees, seafoam trees up the back of the wall, and this small area here at the bottom, that will be basically the car park for the signal box. And then obviously on the other side of this there will be a small area to be done. As you can see, there is a wing wall here, so now that this is actually fixed in, then that can be completed. You'll see that I've put in a couple of lights. These are on the road bridge here, or the road ramp. These are Kite's lights, and the same ones that are on this bridge. The lights on the bridge have been there for I think 18 months. They have now in actual fact been wired in. I'll put the lights on so you can actually see what the scene starts to look like at night time. I'll switch the lights on. The road bridge is now fully lit up, as is the ramp. And then if we come round here, you can see the yard light is lit up there. You can probably pick up the red buffer stops a bit easier. And I actually have also put in a small lamp just at the entrance to the track access there. I do have a further 2 lamps that I've got from CR Signals, and I'm not quite sure where they're going. Probably one's probably going to go in round out here because it is a bit dark, and there will almost certainly be some sort of a light just in here where the car park is. And if I come back round here, I haven't had these on for ages, but the station is actually all lit. The station always has been lit, and again these are Kite's lights. I'm going to do a bit of rewiring within the station area because these lights are actually on a completely different circuit from the lights that I've just put in. And in the old iteration of the layout, I had lots of different switches for lots of different things. So the old motive power depot, it had a light switch for it. This bridge here, the first original iteration of this bridge, it had its own switch to switch the lights on. And to be honest with you, all the lights in the layout, they're either on or they're off. So it's not a case of I would have some on, some off. So I'm really wanting just a single switch. And if I actually come back down here, and you will actually see this because there's some light from underneath. In earlier videos you will have seen there was a small cutout here, because in the original layout this beam here was actually the side of the original width of the layout, and I had points which sat obviously on the baseboard here, and to get the point motors in I had hollowed out a small area here. And if you look in quite a lot of the previous videos where you see the cameras coming across there, you'll just see basically a hole here, not right the way through, but a hole. And I suddenly realised that it's big enough for me to put in some wiring and a switch, and this is the switch that controls everything. And it's much better than having about 4 or 5 switches on different panels. So everything will actually, so there's basically a lighting circuit off this, and all the lights in the layout will eventually come back to this single switch here. So you can switch them off, and if I put them, you'll see them getting switched back on. So now is the time to complete that track rationalisation. There's a couple of reasons that I want to do it. Firstly, there are a couple of points here that I cannot see. This point that is underneath the road bridge, and there's actually a second one on the other side of the road bridge. They really do need to come out, and obviously when they do come out, I will lose a running line, but that's absolutely fine, because the track that I've rationalised so far, I'm actually using this fiddle yard far more than I used to use it when it was in its first original state. So obviously there will be some changes up here. Now, whether or not I can do these changes without removing this road bridge, I'm not 100% sure. I've never been 100% happy with this road bridge, especially these two portals there. They were basically squeezed in to accommodate the track, because when I put the track in, I probably never thought about, well, if there's a road going over there, how am I going to put abutments in, etc, etc. So this bridge might have to come out. It can't be taken away, because obviously there is road access, as you can see there, down to this building. So the road, even if the bridge comes out, I'll have to go back in, but it'll probably go back in maybe built slightly better. It was quite difficult to build this bridge because it was built when the layout was in the house. I'll see whether or not I can remove the track and make the modifications. So what it will mean is, it will mean that this Heath Robinson control panel of mine will be a lot simplified. This is a nightmare to actually follow, believe it or not, and it would mean that this would become much easier to actually follow this area here, and obviously these would disappear because there would be no crossover. And again, it's going to remove a lot of the wiring underneath. On the other side of the layout, while there is still quite a lot of wiring, it's a lot neater than it was because I obviously reduced the number of points, and it will be the same on this side.
So with the last couple of clips playing, I hope you've enjoyed the last 6 minutes or so of trains running around Blackwood. Please remember to like and subscribe, and also there's a new feature, hype the video. I'm grateful if people can hype the video, and obviously leave comments. I really do enjoy getting the comments. They're always worthwhile, and I do answer or reply to all the comments. So with that, many thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time on Blackwood Engage Layout.